Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the PBM-1 Mariner sitting at 2.0 battle rating. Now I've reviewed this plane before in the past, but when I came around to this plane, the flying boats, this is one of them, you always get surprised by the amount of fun you can have in some bombers. And the lower rank bombers are definitely the most fun. And we reviewed the B-34 the other day, which is already a little bit higher in battle rating with 3.3, but at 3.3 it still is fun with a capable bomber to have fun. And it's possible to have fun, not just be a research point piñata for the fighters and the attackers and the interceptors with a lot of firepower coming at you. And usually one pass of 20 or 30 millimeters is enough to get you to be on their payroll. But with the early stuff, like the 2.0, 2.3, 1.7 stuff, that the bombers there are still very viable and very dangerous to the enemy, even in up tiers. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun in this flying boat. This one has 5 50 cals in 5 different turrets, decent spread on those turrets, and it's not fast. It doesn't have much going for it except a decent turn time, reasonable maneuverability, exceptional durability and survivability, and then those 5 50 cals shooting at planes with a reasonable bomb load. This plane has all that it takes to be a gunship at these lower levels. And yeah, it's a bit more difficult at the 3.0 up tiers, but still you can still defend yourself and have some fun. And in lower ranks you can use this thing as a gunboat. The biplanes and stuff like that will have trouble shooting you down, and the 50 cals will wreak havoc on them for sure. So yeah, all in all, this plane is a lot of fun. Now, is it a fast plane? No, definitely not. It's very far from a fast plane. A maximum speed in this plane is 256 kilometers an hour with web, or without web, sorry, and 266 with web at 4,500 meters. You can take her to 213 without and 212 with. It doesn't work anymore. At least somewhere around 4,000 it starts to really function, and web doesn't do anything for you anymore. It could be a little earlier. I didn't quite check when that runs out, but I did notice that at sea level you do have a 10 kilometers an hour boost when you use web, and at 4,500 meters is just a 1 kilometer negative. She doesn't do anything after that. It doesn't go slower, it doesn't go faster. It is the same at 6,500 meters, where you can take the plane to 154 without web and 153 with web. So same problem with the web, just doesn't work at altitude. But this is an extremely slow plane at the higher battle ratings, and it really doesn't do anything anymore at that point. And good luck getting this plane to 6,500 meters or any altitude above 4,500 meters. It just takes a long time to build altitude. The climb rate in this plane isn't good at all, and yeah, so you don't do anything good in the speed department, let's say that. Top speed is the same, a 371 red line with a 430 kilometers an hour rip speed. That is not great, even at 2.0. It's not great in a dive at all. So escaping in a dive or anything is not gonna happen in this plane, and not for any gunboat or gunship as we call them, right? The boats just are not great in a dive or in speed. That's not their strength. The control stiffening then also is not relevant at all, because the rolling in this plane is atrocious with very bad roll handling, and the control stiffening is not relevant at all. Stall speed in the plane is 85 kilometers an hour, but you definitely don't want to take this plane into the vertical at all. So it is a nice stat for a bomber, but it's not relevant. Firepower in the plane is good. You don't have any forward-facing guns, unfortunately. Nothing like the Sunderlands, for example, which are also flying boats, which do have forward-facing guns. But this thing has 5 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun turrets with 350 to 400 rounds per gun, which is also good. So those ammo loads are good as well. Now you can equip this plane with several bomb loads, 12 times 100 pounds, 6 times 250, 6 times 500, 4 times 500 with 2 1000 pounders, and the last load 4 times 1000 pound bombs. These bomb loads are quite effective and quite good for a gunboat, you know, for the flying boats. Usually they have much worse bomb loads, like the Catalinas or the Sunderlands, which have bomb loads that are not great at all. This one has acceptable bomb loads, but yeah, still not quite comparable to most bombers, although this one is actually quite decent. The belts in this plane do have incendiary and API rounds. The default belt runs with a tracer shell, API, incendiary and 1 API shell. Armored belt has 3 times AP shells and a tracer shell, and then finally the universal belt has 3 times armor piercing incendiary and then a tracer shell. So all of them are acceptable and usable. It's what you want, right? The default belt is a little bit of a mix. The armored vehicle shell is armor piercing mainly, and the universal belt has those AP incendiary shells with a tracer, which is the belt that I use for those guns, and they seem to work quite fine for shooting air targets, which it's quite efficient at. Now the acceleration in this plane, in a straight line is atrocious, in a dive it's bad. Energy retention in the horizontal is bad, especially with those pylons, and the plane just is too big, too hefty, that you can really use it, you know, in performance wise. In the vertical, performance is atrocious. You really want to keep this plane in the horizontal, make turns with it, and try to use your 50 cals to good effect. Climb rate in this plane is also bad. Turn time is bad, below average with flaps. The flaps rip off at around 340 kilometers an hour, which is alright, I guess, for a plane with this speed. You know, the plane isn't fast at all. The main top speed in a dive at low altitudes is 266, so you don't reach the flap rippage in a straight line, and in a dive it's very difficult. Only at the top end of the dive will you get there. But yeah, the top end of the dive doesn't come late in this plane, as it only lies at 371 when she redlines. Roll rate in the plane is atrocious, very bad handling when you go over the top, really loses control, not very handy to go over the top in this plane. You just want to keep this plane turning if you are in an engagement, and try to use the 50 cals while you keep turning. That's the best thing to do. It is something that some people are very good at. There are some bomber experts that can use a bomber as a fighter and use the guns very effectively, but it is a quiet trick to get used to. I'm working on that myself, but I've only recently starting to try that out, really, because on my old PC I had some kind of error where the plane just didn't want to move in gunner view, except the rudder was functional. All the other services didn't work. I tried everything to fix that, but it didn't work. But on my new computer, all of a sudden it does work. So I have all services controllable while I'm in gunner view, and yeah, sometimes I still get caught in trying to get a plane like this while I should be maneuvering already here, as I'm being attacked by the other plane as well here. So, but as you can see, this plane can take a shit ton of damage. I got peppered by both of those guys, and this was an ideal showcase to show you that this plane can take a shit ton of damage. It really soaks so much damage that, well, it's very difficult to shoot this plane down, especially when you are in a 1.0 match in a down tier in this plane. For those pop guns to shoot you with a Havoc and an I-16 that would just at me and couldn't shoot me down, well, you know, it gives you an indication to how good this plane is. And those 550 cals in different situations, you have almost always have two 50 cals on the target, especially on the backward facing half of the plane. you usually have 250 cals on the enemy plane, and that's just a lot of firepower at this point on most matches that you face with this plane. The up tiers 3.0 can be tricky, but yeah, there is that. Overheating in this plane is bad with web, but it does cool off reasonably well, so you don't know if it is too much of a problem. You just don't want to use web too much. There is that. Durability in this plane is good, as I said, maybe even excellent. It can soak shit ton of damage. Now the repair cost in this plane is 1,632 Silver Lions, which is high. It's a high repair cost compared to other planes at 2.0 battle rating, so it's not great. The rewards in this plane is there is a 224% research point modifier and a 105% Silver Lion modifier. The research point one and the Silver Lion one are both slightly above average, so that's decent there. Nothing to complain about the rewards, but yeah, the repair cost is high at this battle rating. All in all, this plane is a base bomber and a gunship, and that's what you want to use this plane at. You cannot use it as a support fighter because it doesn't have forward-facing guns, unfortunately. Now let's see, that was an up tier. We had soft landing, rank does not matter, terror of the sky, and balancer. 15,000 Silver Lions and 66,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now, as I said, this plane is quite enjoyable. It's a base bomber and a gunship. It has 5 50 cal turrets, and that's a lot of 50 cal turrets on this battle rating, especially in down tiers and at the 2.0 battle rating, 2.3, 1.7. If you get there, this plane is very lethal. When planes come at her, you usually have 2 50 cal, sometimes 3, firing at planes. She's a little bit vulnerable coming from the front, but especially from below, where she only has the forward-facing 50 cal then to give her some protection. But this plane is then very durable, and you usually get out alive. You know, in up tier sometimes at 3.0 you get the 650 cal planes or planes with 20 millimeters, and then it's a little bit more difficult, but you often still survive in this plane. And when they get to your aft behind you, you usually have 2-3 50 cal shooting at it, and yeah, planes often die then. So I had good results in this plane and a lot of fun. As I said, this plane is a magnificent flying boat, and for gunshipping and base bombering, this plane actually has this for flying boat. She has good bomb loads. I have to say that usually it's worse, but this one has good bomb loads, and you have those 50 cals. And as a gunship at those low tiers, she's great. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.